So guys, I guess for you guys the main thing is just understanding about first the fundamentals of making a coffee using this and this. We've got the single group and the double group, as I'm sure you guys understand all about. One coffee and two coffee, very easy stuff. When you're dosing, the best way to do it is to, dosing meaning putting coffee into your handle to make coffee. The best way to do it is fresh. You don't want to grind off a whole lot of coffee and then leave it there during the day and just pull out some when you want it, because these coffee grinds, they oxidize very quickly. Maybe in like 3 minutes it won't make as good coffee as it would otherwise. And number two, yeah, they're much fresher if you keep them as whole beans. So that's the number one. So I guess I'll show you how I grind and dose. Just so you can do it however you want, but this is the way that I do it, and it's been working for me for a bit. So for the single group, always just wipe out the basket to make sure there's no grinds left in there. Rinse it out. Set up the grinder. For a single, it only needs about 1.5, maybe 2 seconds worth. When you get it to the top like that, just give it a solid bash, smooth it all around, push off anything on the top, damp it down just once, and always flush the water through. Reason being that it's a heat exchanger, I'll tell you about these later, and you need to cool down the water a bit, or just get rid of some of that water before you make a coffee. You put it up there and straight away you turn it on. Reason being that you don't want the coffee to burn. It'll start coming out in about 2 or 3 seconds.
Slower now.
If it's dripping like this, that's about where you want it to be. Any faster and there's not enough resistance. Any slower and you're not actually getting enough water coming through the coffee to give you a good flavour. Here, this is probably a tiny bit slow, but it'll definitely be thereabouts. So I'm not at all unhappy about that. So that's about a shot of coffee, maybe a bit less. We could maybe decrease the resistance coming through the coffee there in order to make a better cup, but that's not too bad. Not too bad. I've made better. But so that's the single. The double's the same thing. I'll show you the basic premise of the double. So the double needs maybe about 5-6 seconds worth of grinding. Again, you kind of want to overflow it, so give it 2 solid taps, give it a little skim around, and push it off again. And that'll be so that you end up with pretty much the same amount of coffee every single time when you're making coffee. It doesn't really matter if you're up or down, you'll end up with a pretty similar sort of thing at the end of the day. Again, you put it in, turn it on straight away. And again, it's dripping out a bit, meaning that probably I need to make it a bit coarser, but it's thereabouts. I'm pretty happy with that. Are we doing milk as well right now?
Yep.
May as well do milk as well. Where
in the fridge. So and there's a milk thing down there as well.
Cool. So that's about your double shot, maybe a bit less than a double shot. When you're making milk, always make sure that your milk is nice and cold. Reason being that when you're frothing, you want to create your froth right at the start, and then just give it some time to have the big bubbles get down to smaller bubbles. I don't know if anyone's ever taught you guys how to make milk before. Yeah, yeah, it's alright. I've never used this one before, so I'm probably screwed this up royally, but. So that sort of sound, that's the foam being created, and you want that to happen in the first probably about 4 or 5 seconds worth of making of steaming. Then you only want to hear that pretty much silence until it gets too hot to hold, and you want that sort of looking milk, nice and smooth on top. That's a process that you'll learn over time of making milk, and basically just give it a little. And if you know if you've made good milk, you can see that it starts out at the top and the foam starts coming down the glass. You can see these little cloudy things coming down. That's like the foam and the milk are the same consistency at the start, and then the air bubbles, actually the lighter stuff comes to the top, and then it just goes down, 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 down until it stops. And if you have that, I don't know, whoever's a milk drinker, if you have that, you'll find that the consistency of it is really nice and dense.
Yeah, it's pretty good.
So basically what that means is that your milk and your foam are about the same density, so you get a nice creamy, thick latte. If you get a really bad latte, you'll find that what's happened is the milk hasn't been properly mixed through with the foam, or they've waited for it to separate. It's very important to pour your milk straight away once you've made it. All this sort of stuff is going to be like just experience and doing it and doing it and doing it. How long have you had the machine for? It's about
months.
Couple months. Oh, you guys would have made a couple of coffees already.
Oh, yes.
I would imagine.
Yeah.
So,
I haven't been as good as this, honestly.
sorry.
I haven't been as good as this.
Ah, thank you. But yeah, so that's like the basics of it. Do you want me to show you how to change the grind? Because that was what was the problem before. So you guys had that waterfall of water coming out the bottom of the thing. So I can show you how to get to that and then how to fix it if you want. So